Rare Beauty just did a limited release of their brand new Soft Pinch Matte Bouncy Blush, and I got my hands on it. So today I thought that we would test this out and I could give you my first impressions. And while we're at it, we might as well talk about the other blush that I picked up from Sephora, which is Patrick Ta's Double Take Cream Powder Blush. I'm going to apply one of these to each cheek, and then I thought we would also swatch some other blushes in my collection for comparison. And now let's talk about that new Rare Beauty blush. So last week, Rare Beauty offered several shades of this new blush that's going to be released in late March on Sephora and on the Rare Beauty website. And as I have never tried one of Rare Beauty's blushes, I thought this is a good investment for me. And I love so many Rare Beauty products, as you guys know. This product costs $27. This is what the packaging looks like. It's a plastic component. It does not have a mirror inside. When it releases in March, it will be available in 7 shades. Now, I got the shade Hope, which is described as a nude mauve. It's a bouncy, buildable formula with a putty-like texture that blends out easily like a cream, but then blurs like a powder. Other claims here is that it gives cheeks an airy, cloud-like flush and that it won't emphasize texture or dry out your skin. And supposedly it's water, sweat, and humidity resistant and won't transfer or smudge. That would make this the holy grail of blushes, okay? So just dipping my finger into this blush, it feels like suede. That really is the best description that I can give. And here you can see that swatch of Hope on my finger. Let's see how this applies on the cheeks. And so for that, I am going to remove the glasses and grab my favorite cream blush brush, which is the BK Beauty 109. I am gonna just tap this in. And as I don't know how this pays off in terms of pigment when you apply it, I am gonna tap it onto my arm to get some of that pigment off. We don't want to overdo it right out of the gate. And now I am just gonna start stippling that onto my cheek. I so far really love the way that this looks. I think this looks exceptionally natural. I love the color. And wow, was that easy and quick. And that is what we all want from a blush. So I'm gonna give that a minute while we move on to talking about the other blush that I picked up, which is that Patrick Ta Duo. As some others have noted, I find the packaging a bit awkward. It seems strange to have to hold something on the side to open it up. I just kind of want to see how these feel. So I'm just lifting the flap that is over the cream and swatching into the powder and the cream. The cream feels like what you would expect a cream formula to feel like. The powder is very soft, buttery. I would not describe it as feeling like suede, like the Rare Beauty. So here's what those swatches look like there. This is the cream here, and this is the powder. Wow, that's hard to do. Tell your brain which finger to move. In terms of application, I watched a great video by Nikki LaRose, and she was discussing how Patrick Ta designed these for powder application first with cream on top, which goes against traditional application methods. What was interesting is that she said that it is deceivingly difficult to do a good job of that unless you were Patrick Ta, and she actually recommended going ahead and applying the traditional way, which is cream down first, then powder. And today I am going to follow her recommendations. So I'm actually going to use my N17 brush, which is from Nikki LaRose. Using the light fiber side, I am tapping into that cream. And now I am going to just sort of tap that onto the back of my hand to work it into the bristles, get it evenly distributed so that we can hopefully get a nice even application on the cheek. I'd rather have to clean up my hand after putting on blush than clean up my face, right? So you might as well tap it off on your hand and make it easier on yourself in the long run. Okay, I'm not gonna lie, I'm nervous because I've seen and heard that these are very pigmented and you have to be careful. So we are gonna use a very, very light hand, tapping this on. Okay. So far, I don't think I've destroyed my makeup. I don't think it looks as seamless as the Rare Beauty, but this is a cream, a true cream. So I am seeing, you know, a little bit more of a demarcation between where I've applied the blush and, you know, the other makeup that I already have on, which is my typical, you know, complexion products. So next up, though, we're going to do something else that Nikki recommended to sort of deal with that demarcation line, which is to apply a light dusting of powder where that line exists. And so I am now going to flip the brush to my powder side. I am going to pick up some Laura Mercier translucent setting powder, and I am just going to work to sort of erase that line and smooth that out so that it looks more natural. So I'm just going around the edges. I'm not going through the center where I have the most product. And I do think that that helped. Now, what's interesting to me right now, just looking at this already, is that, I mean, yes, this is meant to be, you know, a creamy feeling product. As I said, it felt like suede, but I mean, it is powdery, right? I mean, it is like a powder and a compact. So, but this to me already looks dewier than this over here, which was a true cream product. So I don't know, that's just sort of interesting and surprising. So now we are going to go in with the powder on the Patrick Ta side to set that cream in place, lock it down. And for that, you know, I'm going to use the powder side of this brush, and I am tapping in. And now, just like I did for the cream side, I am going to take this, which that is a lot of blush. I'm going to get off the excess in the palm of my hand. You can see there's still plenty of blush on there. And whew, I'm nervous about this because that's already, I think, a full load of pigment on my cheeks. I'm being like super, super, super delicate here. Okay. Yeah, it's still, it looks like too much. It is too much, right? You're like, Shannon, it doesn't look like too much. It is too much. Okay, yeah. So the lore around this is true, that you have to be very, very careful. And so I am actually going to grab a clean powder brush. Let me see. And I don't know, try to soften this out a little bit around the edges because I feel like it is just like blasting blush at you. So let me pick some of that up and see if I can sort of tone this down a little bit. So if I didn't mention, the Patrick Ta Duo is $38. And of course you do get more product than you do with the Rare Beauty, because I gotta tell you, I'd rather have a little less product and it be easier to apply, because right now I'm not finding this Patrick Ta blush easy to apply. This is definitely a lot more work. Okay, so that is how we're looking. For me, for everyday usage, to me, this Rare Beauty is a much better buy. That's just first impressions. So before we wrap up, I do want to swatch these two new blushes against some other blushes in my collection that are mauve-y. So first up, I am just going to swatch the Rare Beauty blush. And then let's do Patrick Ta beside that. So the first swatch is going to be powder, and the second swatch that I'm about to do is going to be cream. So this is the powder, and this is the cream. And then I have two blushes from Say. One of them is a highlighting blush hybrid, which I really love. Just so you can see what the inside of this looks like. You can definitely see sort of that golden highlight in there. And, okay. So that is that one. And then finally, we'll do this Say liquid blush in Chili. This one is in Mauve Glow. I believe that it's accurate to say that this Say liquid blush is meant to be really a wash of color. So I just put a couple of dots on my arm, and now I'm gonna swipe down on that. So you can see what that looks like. So those are the swatches. Again, this is the Rare Beauty, and the two beside it are the Patrick Ta. For blushes that are all described as being mauve, I would say that these look pretty different. It might be that the closest comparison is with the Patrick Ta cream and the Say liquid blush here on the end, but otherwise I would say they all look pretty different. So I think that that does it for this initial impression of the new blushes. I am going to do another video on the Rare Beauty blush when it gets closer to launch. And between now and then, I'll get a lot of testing time in on this so that before the launch, I can give you an idea of whether or not all those performance claims are being met, and you can decide if this may be a good addition to your collection. So thank you so much for watching today. I hope you enjoyed it and you got something out of it, and I'll see you next time. Bye.